Hi there, back again. Now, of course, more's going on all the time, and I wanted to catch up on a couple of things. One is the last reading on Kelly, McMaster and Kushner. I wanted to explain a bit more about the McMaster element because his job as National Security Advisor, I think, is changing. Some people thought I was confusing him with Tillerson at some point. It wasn't that. It's that I picked up very strongly that as a security advisor, normally there are parameters to that position and you're advising the president and Congress on, where the security risks are coming from and so forth. But because Tillerson has no political experience and is the Secretary of State, it's caused a lot extra work for McMaster, and my feeling is very strongly that he's having to do a lot of Tillerson's work and that he's very unhappy in that role and working for this administration. So that's the McMaster story. I've decided to bring the Crowley deck again out of retirement. Many of you commented, some were concerned, but most of you could see that they were quite beautiful and powerful and interesting cards. And I thought, who better than to use the deck? And I'm now, excuse me, calling it the Toff deck, which is its other name. And I'm not going to use Crowley's name anymore. I've cleansed these cards, I've cleansed myself. I'm going to have a shower after this reading. But who better to use this Toff deck on than Maria Butina? Now, like most of you, I hadn't heard of her 6 weeks ago, even months ago, and then every time I looked at something, her name kept coming up. So I thought, who is this woman? So I've been reading up on her, and let me share with you, for those of you who are not so familiar with Maria. Bear in mind, there are some who are saying she is possibly Putin's daughter, Maria, who has been out of the public eye since she was a young child. I don't know, that would require another reading. I'm not going to go there per se, but that was largely because his daughter Maria would be Maria Butina, so Maria Butina, is it her? Who knows? But this is how she describes herself. Now bear in mind, she's a Russian who did her postgraduate degree in America, so she's fluent. She has, in various capacities, described herself as a Russian central bank staffer, personal assistant to Alexander Torshin. Now that would be the same Alexander Torshin who has come up in the Mueller probe and is a known Putin man and has mob connections. And she has been quite upfront about working for the Russian central bank at a high level. Now, on top of that, she describes herself as a representative of the Russian Federation. Now, she can't, as a Russian citizen, run around the world calling herself that without being pulled up by the Kremlin if she wasn't, so she does it very publicly. She's described herself as a journalist, but her main role, which is of interest to us here, viewers, is she's a leading gun activist campaigner, and she's a leading light in, sorry about my croak, in the Russian equivalent of the NRA, and she's been very active with the American NRA, so thus with the Republican Party. She has also befriended certain Trump aides, one of whom is Paul Erickson. As we know, Trump would no doubt say he's never heard of him, never met him. However, he describes himself as a Trump campaigner. And when Maria Butina, the fun-loving young person, had a fancy dress party, it was attended apparently by Trump aides, including Paul Erickson, who went as Rasputin. Interesting. So, she's turning up more and more. So let's see what the Crowley deck, the Toff deck, has to say about Maria. So I'm just going to cut the cards because they're very big cards and I think they have to be handled a bit differently than the usual decks. So, Maria Butina, pull this out as her signifier. Ooh, Four of Wands. Completion. Fours are very solid. This would indicate to me, because I have no doubt whatsoever that she is sanctioned by the Russian state. If you read up about her, there is no way she could do and say what she does in a hugely public way with the NRA and so forth if she wasn't a sanctioned operative. So to a certain extent, she's already completed the first round of her task in America. Okay, coming up here we have the Lovers. Now, I think Maria Butina has a very particular role. I think she's very popular. The Lovers in this sense, whether or not it's a particular romance with a particular person, I don't know, or if it's more general between people. Republicans seem to love her. Now, the thing with the Lovers card too in this is a king and queen getting married, in the sense I'm not, I think, picking up here that this is about Butina's love life. This is about the two countries. She has put a charming face and a very sophisticated face on what she is doing, which is espionage for the Russian state. I think she's done that very successfully. So she's managed to marry Russia and America in that way. That's how I see that particular card. The Knight of Wands. Action stations. This is a woman who can use her deep feminine wiles, and here I'm not talking about short skirts and low-cut tops. I'm talking about deep ways of operating, like the sexual framing of men and so forth. I think she's capable of any of that. She's not the traditional honey trap spy. She is the modern, outspoken, out front Russian woman. And this is, I don't think necessarily another male figure. I think this is the masculine side of her personality. She is no hold barred. She is going for it. Ace of Wands, very potent, powerful card underlying her reading. So, out of 4 cards, 3 are Wands. No shortage of willpower with this one, right? Ace of Wands. She has been very successful in doing what she set out to do. She's extremely focused and not easy to stop. In a recent past, the Wands. Now, this is the Eight of Wands. In the traditional Rider-Waite deck, that's that one with all the spear-like wands going in a direction. It's always about things happening quickly and with direction. So that is not at all surprising. She's had a meteoric rise within the Russian system, very close to Putin. Could be very, very close to Putin. But she's also had a meteoric rise in the US, which is why suddenly she's everywhere. Okay. What's over this? Oh, I must say I'm a bit relieved to see this. Overriding or overarching the reading is defeat. The Five of Swords. Now, this is an interesting card to come up. The Five of Swords in the Rider-Waite is that card, I think it was just in the very last reading, where there's someone who's had victory, but the other people who fought with them are walking away. So this could be her being exposed now into the public light of day. I don't think the Kremlin would be that happy. She's been very successful as an operative, And maybe it's also defeat in the sense she has got the NRA eating out of her hand, and thus, as we know, the NRA and the GOP are totally in bed together, so you don't have one without the other. So maybe this defeat is about suddenly the NRA is on the nose. So she had the trump card, so to speak, by being the NRA girl who loved rifles. Suddenly that's not such an entree to open doors as it was maybe even a month ago. We'll see. Her short-term goal or outcome discs, which is pentacles, the 4. 4 is very powerful, solid number. This is called power in the Thoth deck. And again, it's next to this masculine aspect of the Knight of Wands. So it's a very mechanistic looking image, right? She's after power. She craves power. She loves power. Ah, Maria, how she sees herself. Now this card, it's called the Aeon in the Thoth deck, is one of the most Egyptian cards. And I see this card, I'm getting light on the screen, I'm seeing this card as Maria at the centre, as a centre of power, within the broader power of Putin and the Russian state. I think that's how she sees herself, and that would make perfect sense. Acting across that, the Prince of Wands. It's interesting she's getting so many masculine cards. Yeah, this one. Okay, so the Prince of Wands, if you look at this, the way it's depicted in Thoth, it's very similar to the Chariot. It's a chariot-like figure. It's a take no prisoners. It's a fearless figure. She's after power and she has no fear. She's hardcore. All right, the atmosphere for her at the moment, the 5 of discs or the 5 of pentacles is depicted as worry. She's a bit concerned. Power, she's going for it. Nothing's holding her back. These are potent cards. I'll just go back to the Prince of Wands here for a minute. Even though it's the Prince, it's an androgynous figure. Okay. So there's all this masculine energy coming out here. And this is the mind whirring. I think it's her mind whirring. It's also a worry because Russia follows everything that's happening very closely. They wouldn't be happy with what's happening, with how people are thinking about the NRA now. So her cover, which has been, she's like this Diane Loesch character on steroids, has worked a treat until now, but now she and they are a bit worried. And I would also suggest the Republicans that have been in bed with the NRA and thus with her, there's connections coming up very strongly for me on an intuitive level, would also be worried. Oh, short-term outcome, love. Now, with this, the 2 of Cups, I would say, what is love coming up here? It's coming up underneath the Lovers. Okay, so I think she's going to go on a love offensive. In a way, she's done it all in a very masculine way, but with a deep manipulative feminine power, strategically planning that. I think she's going to go on a charm offensive. That's to me how I read the love card and the lovers card here. This is not someone who's looking for love in the traditional sense. This is not someone who's going to go on The Bachelorette. This is a profoundly strategic woman, and I think therefore love and the lovers also have a very strategic component, and I'd be very worried if she was being charming to me. Yeah, this is the Hangman. To a certain extent, she and Russia have been stopped in their tracks and are worried because of the aftermath of the Florida shooting that no one could have predicted would have this reaction. There could have been another 3 shootings, God forbid, and they not have the reaction that this one had. It's the particular personalities of young people that have been activated during the time of this Florida shooting that have changed the game. So she, who has, I think, taken instruction from the Kremlin, but has been given a free rein to do it her way and has pleased them enormously. Completion was her central card. She did everything that was asked of her. However, now she's looking at defeat. So they are sort of, in a way, suspending operations with her at the moment. I think they're regrouping behind the scenes. It would make total sense to do that. They can't just go on as they were and hope it has a different outcome. Yeah, further down the track, Prince of Swords. Again, very active, very masculine, very out there. So it's a very take no prisoners card. Much like these, you know, she's got 2 princes and a knight. Oh my God. And the Eon card. Okay. She's going to be reactivated. So, currently suspended, but she will be reactivated. This card has huge energy behind it. But the energy is going to be deceptive. And she's going to operate through men in both Russia and America through what will seem like love. I read love as charm. Do not be fooled by this person. Oh my God. All right then. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I found it very interesting. I stayed away from the other readers who have read on Maria Butina because I didn't want to be influenced. So now I've done the reading, I can go and binge watch what other people said. Okay guys, bye for now. Keep those comments rolling.